Now, Dominic, you made some headlines in recent weeks with your comments on certain heavyweights, particularly Dillian Whyte. Is there some bad blood between you two?
Not necessarily. I know we were competing for the WBC mandatory at one point, and at one point we were supposed to schedule a fight for that mandatory. Fortunately enough, I got the chance to do it and drop the ball against the Wilder fight. But Dillian Whyte says he's one of the best in the world, and I'm always up for fighting the best competition. So that's the reason why I point out guys like himself. If it was up to me, I think the best of the best should be fighting each other, and me being one of the best, him being one of the best, we should definitely square off in the ring for sure.
Now, what are the chances, do you think, of you facing Whyte within the next, say, 12 months or so?
For me, I'd love for it to be my next fight. I think if things clear up and we get back to the norm, I think the fight definitely happens within the next 12 months for sure.
James Bell, the Boxing Source, here with another video, and this video here is to talk about the words of Dominic Breazeale there in the PBC podcast that was done on Wednesday, where he talks about calling out Dillian Whyte, and he brings up the instance of them going back and forth over the past 2.5 years. Given that history, you have on 2017. There was an instance where you had Deontay Wilder being slated to fight Bermane Stiverne as a mandatory defense, but that particular fight wasn't really in demand. So the people within PBC, or those that were handling Deontay Wilder, had him matched up against Luis Ortiz initially. That was scheduled for November 4th, 2017 at the Barclays Center. And as an interim, the mandatory at the time, Bermane Stiverne, was going to be in there as a co-feature bout against Dominic Breazeale. Now, we know what happened with Luis Ortiz, and he ended up being scrapped from that main event on November 4th. So, Dominic Breazeale didn't necessarily have an opponent there at the Barclays Center, as Bermane Stiverne was placed to face Deontay Wilder on the main event at the Barclays Center on November 4th, 2017. And with Dominic Breazeale not having an opponent, he was offered a fight against Dillian Whyte on October 28th, 2017, over in the UK. But he ended up passing on that particular offer and took the fight against Eric Molina on November 4th, 2017. Now, there was a little bit of a confusion after what happened from October 28, 2017, as Dillian Whyte fought Robert Helenius, and November 4th, 2017, when Dominic Breazeale faced Eric Molina. You had Dillian Whyte defeating Robert Helenius, you had Dominic Breazeale defeating Eric Molina, and then the WBC had to make a decision as to who would be the mandatory. They ended up deciding that Dominic Breazeale would be the mandatory challenger for the WBC Heavyweight Championship. And that particular mandatory was not honored until much later down the line. Now, going in the timeline, after you had Deontay Wilder fighting Tyson Fury on December 1st, 2018, which ended up in a draw, the WBC ordered the rematch between Wilder and Fury, and at the interim, they would order Dominic Breazeale versus Dillian Whyte for the interim WBC Heavyweight Championship. Dillian Whyte was up for that challenge, but with the decision of Tyson Fury signing with Top Rank Boxing and basically postponing the rematch between him and Deontay Wilder, the WBC made the decision to have Deontay Wilder face Dominic Breazeale for that mandatory defense. Okay, so now you had that go down. Dominic Breazeale loses by first round knockout. And then Dillian Whyte, later on down the line, faces and defeats Oscar Rivas to become an interim WBC champion and the mandatory contender. We know about the whole thing that went down with Dillian Whyte before that particular fight and after that particular fight. But now we kind of like fast forward here to 2020 with Dillian Whyte as the WBC mandatory and the interim WBC champion. And you see that Dominic Breazeale has called out Dillian Whyte. And I think that it would probably be a good little scrap for as long as it lasts. Dominic Breazeale says that it should happen within, the next 12 months or so. But we have to see what goes down with the decision of the WBC, as they had ordered for the WBC champion to face Dillian Whyte or have a fight signed with Dillian Whyte by February of 2021. So from this point to February 2021, you might have a chance to see Dillian Whyte versus Dominic Breazeale. But if not, then it may be a while before that potential fight comes to fruition. That's what I got in reference to this particular topic. You can subscribe to The Boxing Source on YouTube or catch The Boxing Source radio show live Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Blog Talk Radio, or catch the podcast on iTunes, Anchor.fm, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. On that note, folks, I'm out. Peace.